Hi everyone. In this short video I want to introduce you to the National Infrastructure Planning Service, a new product from Bloomsbury Professional and Francis Taylor Building. Here we are looking at nationalinfrastructureplanning.com. So I'm just going to log in to my account. And now we're looking here at the research content included in the service. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the main features of the site. We'll go on to see how you can browse for information, how you can perform simple searches for information, how to perform more complex searches, and then we'll conclude by taking a look at some of the additional added value features that are included in the site. So first of all, this is the home page of the site. What are we looking at here? The first element to take a look at is the Browse My Books panel over here, which shows that the service contains two main elements, the articles and the materials. The articles are incisive guidance from the expert team at Francis Taylor Building, which talks you through the entire infrastructure planning process. We'll be looking at those in far more detail later on in the video. And then if I hop back to the home page, the infrastructure planning materials are all the primary source documents that you might need, including, of course, the Planning Act, other key legislation, statutory instruments, the DCLG guidance, and the PINS advice notes. More primary source material will be added to the service in the weeks ahead. So, again, looking at the homepage here, we have a new and noteworthy feed of recent developments in the world of infrastructure planning. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, just to make the point that that area is searchable as well. If I just type a search into the search box up at the top there, so if I'm looking for HS2, I can see that there's one of the articles mentions HS2, but also it's pulling up that there are three recent news stories concerning HS2, as indeed one might expect. So let's go back to the home page, and over here on the right of the screen we have some general news from around Bloomsbury Professional. The other elements of the user interface that we have on screen, like these two buttons over here and the My Content and My Searches, what I'm going to do is show you how they come into play as we actually get stuck into the site itself. Now, the first thing I want to look at is browsing for information. Searching will come a little bit later, but as a very general statement, if you know what you're looking for, browse can be the most efficient way to go. So let's say that we're looking for an article on the requirement for development consent. So in order to get to that, I'm going to click here to go into the articles part of the site. And if I scroll down a little, this is like the table of contents page for the articles, and I can see there's chapter 4 there, requirement for development consent. I can either open that by clicking the plus sign to see what's in it, or I can just click the title there and pull up the documents included from the list there. So let's just drop in and take a look at that article, when is development consent required. We'll be looking at some of the things you can do with the document once you've got it on screen, apart from read it, of course, a little later in this video. But at the moment, I just thought it'd be worth drawing your attention to these links underneath the document title. The first one here is indicating what part of the articles this particular document comes from. And if I click that link, it takes me back to the start of that section. And indeed, I can go back to the home page for the articles part of the product by clicking the link there. And of course, the table of contents is always visible on screen for the product, no matter what you're doing. So I can bounce around inside the articles like so. So that's a very quick look at how to browse for content. I'm now going to move on to some simple approaches to search. One of the things that our users find very helpful indeed is the ability to search just within a particular book. So here I am, I'm looking at a document from the National Infrastructure Planning articles, and let's say I want to get to the coverage of development consent requirements very quickly from a standing start, so to speak, while I'm looking at a document on a completely unrelated topic. So you'll notice over here on the left of the screen, it says search within book. So if I type in development consent requirement and click go, that runs a search just inside the articles part of National Infrastructure Planning, and I can link through to the document that we browsed our way to earlier, like so. So that's the simplest approach to search. I'll just move back to the home page now, and we'll take a look at a couple of examples which show some of the more sophisticated ways that you can search across this product. So, for example, let's say we're interested in compulsory purchase conditions. The search box up at the top right here is kind of like a Google search. This will always search across everything you have available to you in your subscription. So if I just type in, exactly like Google, whatever words occur to me for this particular search requirement that I have, and as I type in compulsory, I can see the search box is prompting me for a number of possibilities. I'm interested in compulsory purchase, so I click that, and the results come back like so. It's the compulsory purchase is a very broad search, and that brings up 56 hits, which is probably a few too many to wade through. So now I have a set of search results on screen. 56 documents match my query. Just as with a book, you can search just within that particular book. You can also search just within a set of search results. If you have a set of search results on screen, you can see over here the search box is helpfully labeled search within results. So what I'm interested in are the conditions surrounding compulsory purchase, and if I type that in over there, it's now brought up the documents that match those two elements, compulsory purchase and conditions, and it's dropped the results down from 56 to a rather more manageable 17. But if I look down the list of search results here, I can see some are coming from the articles part of the product, and others are coming from the materials. So here's a hit showing up in the DCLG guidance on compulsory purchase. So I can keep all of those hits in a single view, or I can refine my search view even further by asking it to show me just the searches in the legislation, the materials part, like so. That takes it down to 11 hits. Or, of course, I can limit the search to just show commentary material coming from articles. So if I do that, I can now link through to the document that I'm interested in the articles part of the product. Okay, so we looked there at a slightly more complex way of performing a search. Now let's see just how sophisticated we can get with creating searches. And I think one of the strengths of this site is it reflects the way that people research a topic in practice. As you enter searches and results come up on screen, I think it's natural to want to refine that search. Very often we find there in any online site, you end up with too many hits. So it's always good to be able to zoom in on the particular topic that you're interested in at that point. And it's also helpful to be able to add or remove elements to a search, just to keep filtering down till you get to exactly the information you want. So let me just scroll up to the top of the screen, and you'll notice that in exactly the same way as there's always a table of contents visible on the left-hand side of the screen, the main site search box is always visible in the same place right there at the top of the screen. So for this particular example, let's say we're interested in researching some of the material around the refusal of development consent. So how might we start a search like that? There are countless ways one might go about researching this particular topic, but let's start off very simply, just by searching for the words development consent. Firing that off, I've got 218 hits showing up there. That's way too many for me to work through. Life is simply too short. I'm now going to throw in a bit of a red herring into the search. I'm going to add the term requirements again. That takes it down to a rather more manageable 91, and I'm now going to add the term refusal. So what I'm interested in is the refusal of development consent. Now, it's the reason I said requirements is a bit of a red herring. Is I suspect that might be pushing out some valid search hits around the concept of refusal of development consent. So if you can see along the line here, we've got our original search terms, development consent, and we've then got our red herring around requirements, and now we've got the concept that we're actually interested in, which is refusal of development consent. So if I decide that requirements is erroneously limiting my search results, I can simply click the red X beside it, and that removes that term from my search. I've now gone up to 17 hits. Let's add in another concept to the search, just to get a very tight focus on what we're looking for. And I don't know, let's say we're going to put in judicial review as an additional search term. So if I click that, I now come down to just 4 documents that match that query, and obviously I can now go in and review any of those that I wish. So that's probably the most complex sort of search that most users are likely to want to perform. There are additional search functions available, which we'll cover in a future video at some point. Okay, so far we've looked at how to browse for information, how to perform simple searches, and how to perform slightly more complex searches. I mentioned at the start of this video that we'd also take a look at some of the other things you can do with the information on the site. So let's dive in and investigate that now. If I go into this document here, few things worth mentioning. First of all, if you want a hard copy of a document, you can click the print button here, and that will call up a nice print-friendly view that you can send to your printer. If you're the kind of person who likes to use an iPad to take content like this offline, we provide a PDF of all the articles in the product. And if I click the download a PDF, that calls up a PDF of the article that I can then transfer to my iPad and read at my leisure, even if I don't have an internet connection. A couple of other things to mention about what the buttons on the site do. Previous document, next document, they work pretty much like flipping the pages in a book. So if I go back or forwards through the document, it's just like turning the pages in a book. If I get into the text of the article itself, you can see that throughout, as you'd expect, there are references to the legislation and other material, typically the Planning Act. And if I follow this link through to section 118, you can see at the top of the section this text here, click here for relevant articles. If I click that link, that calls up a list of all the articles in the service that refer to section 118. That's a hugely useful feature to have, and you'll find those related articles links all through this product. And I'm going to use another feature now to illustrate that. These two buttons here, the My Content and My Searches, keep track of everything that you've been doing on the site in your current session. So I looked at a couple of documents earlier on today, and if I want to go through to this document here, you can see the mouse over gives me the full text. It's the infrastructure planning fees regs. If I click that link, it takes me through to the regulations. like so. And again, I can click for all the articles in the service that mention the fees regs, or indeed I can go in and look at this document, the DCLG guidance on pre-application process, and again we've got the relevant articles, so we can see all the articles that discuss that that particular DCLG guidance. A couple of other things that are worth mentioning. It's let's just drop into this document here. You'll notice on this row of buttons we've got a print, which we've looked at. Save and cite we'll cover in a future video. Email is a very useful function that that many of our customers particularly appreciate, which is the ability to send a link to a document to anyone you like. So you can send it to a colleague who may have subscription access to the service, but you can even send a link through to someone who doesn't subscribe to the service. So typically that would be a client, for example, or perhaps another advisor that you're working with. So if I'm going to send this to myself and say something like useful article, and I'll provide my email address and say worth reading. Now if I send that, that will show up in the recipient's email inbox with a link which will enable them to come through and read the full text of this article, regardless of whether they have a subscription or not. If the recipient does have a subscription, obviously they'll be able to look at all the other material on the service. If they don't have a subscription, they'll only be able to look at the full text of this particular document for obvious reasons. A couple of other things that are well worth mentioning. If there's a document that you think you're going to be referring to very frequently, then you can bookmark it, and you can just use your browser bookmark function to do that. So if I call up the bookmark function in Internet Explorer, I can add that to my Internet Explorer bookmarks, and there it is in my my list of browser bookmarks there. Something else which perhaps may be slightly less obvious is I can even bookmark a search. So let's call up one of the searches I performed earlier. This is the search that's looking for references to section 118 in the articles material. I can even bookmark that in exactly the same way. So call up my Internet Explorer, add a favorite, and I'm going to say refs to section 118 and add that, and that shows up in my my browser bookmarks like so. Let me just go back to one of the other bookmark documents, and just to show the way that a search bookmarks work, if I click the link to the search that I just bookmarked, it just runs the search for me again. One of the interesting things about this is that as new articles are added to the service, a bookmark search will of course pull up all the new articles, because the search gets rerun every time you activate the bookmark. The last point I want to mention, it's a really obvious one, but it is worth noting, is that this site unusually browser back and forward work in exactly the same way as it does on the internet at large. So I can step back through everything that I've done in the current session just by using the browser back function to step through all the documents I've looked at, or indeed to move forwards through them as well. So that concludes this introductory video on the National Infrastructure Planning Service. I hope you found it helpful. Look out for more videos in future about this new service from Bloomsbury Professional. Thanks very much indeed for watching.